vastly privileged to bear during so much of my life and duty.
Queen Camilla's quiet documentary comment has shaken the UK, revealing unexpected truths about King Charles's health and the hidden struggle inside Buckingham Palace. One unscripted line exposed tension, vulnerability, and a shift in power the public was never meant to witness, leaving the nation stunned and demanding answers. The documentary moment that froze the UK. When ITV1 aired the 90-minute documentary Her Majesty the Queen Behind Closed Doors on November 11, 2024, viewers expected a gentle portrait of Queen Camilla's first year on the throne, charity work, quiet meetings, and her long-standing focus on domestic abuse advocacy. Instead, the film delivered a moment that stopped the nation in its tracks. Cameras followed Camilla into Government House on the Isle of Man in March 2024, just weeks after Buckingham Palace confirmed that King Charles III had been diagnosed with cancer. During a small conversation with campaigner Diana Parks, Camilla was asked a simple question: "How is the king?" Camilla's first answer felt familiar. She said he was doing really well, but then came the line that shifted the entire documentary. "The problem is trying to stop him doing so much. That is the problem." That one sentence changed the country's mood. For the first time, the Queen openly admitted that the palace was struggling to keep the king from overworking while undergoing active cancer treatment. It was not the controlled reassurance people expected. It was a slip of honesty that revealed pressure behind palace walls. This moment hit harder because the documentary had framed Camilla as steady, organized, and constantly moving, meeting survivors, attending events, carrying out engagements while Charles remained largely unseen. The contrast made her comment feel even more revealing. Across the UK, viewers stopped, replayed, and questioned. Was the king pushing himself too far? Was the Queen signaling something deeper? The documentary, meant to reassure, instead left the nation unsettled. To understand why her words landed so strongly, the country looked back at what the palace had been saying, very carefully, for months. What the palace said before, and what Camilla's words revealed. For months leading up to Camilla's unscripted comment, Buckingham Palace had delivered only carefully shaped updates about King Charles's health. In January 2024, the palace announced he was being treated for a benign enlarged prostate, a condition framed as routine. But during that treatment, doctors discovered a separate form of cancer. In February 2024, the palace confirmed the diagnosis, but withheld vital details: the type of cancer, the stage, the prognosis. They emphasized that the king would step back from large public duties while continuing state paperwork, giving the impression of stability. For the next several months, palace statements repeated the same controlled phrases. His treatment was progressing well, and he remained wholly positive. These updates created a sense of calm, but also a sense of distance. The monarchy appeared to be following its traditional rulebook: reassure the public, reveal little. That is why Camilla's comment, trying to stop him doing so much, hit like an alarm. Her words suggested a very different internal reality: a monarch resisting medical limits, pushing himself despite treatment, and a palace struggling to slow him down. It hinted at a tension between doctors' orders, royal duty, and the king's determination to appear strong during a fragile moment. For many viewers, Camilla's honesty cut through months of diplomatic language. Some felt reassured that she was speaking openly. Others felt uneasy, sensing frustration or fear beneath her tone. Her statement made one thing clear: the carefully controlled palace messaging was not telling the full story. Transition. And as the year unfolded, the balance of power inside the monarchy began to shift in ways the public could suddenly see. The king disappears from the spotlight as Camilla becomes the face of the crown. Throughout 2024, the public slowly notices that King Charles is appearing far less often. Walkabouts, ceremonial duties, and major events begin slipping from his calendar. Instead, he focuses on state paperwork, private briefings, and only a few carefully chosen appearances. His absence grows more visible with each month, and the documentary shows long stretches where he is spoken about but rarely seen. At the same time, Queen Camilla's schedule expands dramatically. She visits refuges, women's shelters, literacy programs, and survivor support groups. The documentary shows her constantly on the move, shaking hands, hosting receptions, listening to stories, all roles once associated heavily with the late Queen Elizabeth II. Commentators begin calling Camilla the cornerstone of the House of Windsor. The film's structure reinforces this reality. Camilla everywhere, Charles mostly in the background. For viewers, the message is unmistakable. Power inside the monarchy is shifting quietly, not through constitutional change, but through visibility, responsibility, and necessity. As one analyst notes in the film, when the monarch steps back, whoever steps forward becomes the public face of the crown. But suddenly, the stand-in queen is forced off duty too, and the system is shaken again. When the stand-in queen falls ill too. In early November 2024, Buckingham Palace releases a short statement. Queen Camilla has been diagnosed with a chest infection and must cancel a week of engagements. The timing is devastating. The king is already undergoing cancer treatment, and now the queen, his primary stand-in, must step away as well. Camilla withdraws from the Field of Remembrance at Westminster Abbey and a Buckingham Palace reception for Team GB and Paralympic medalists. Brigitte, Duchess of Gloucester, steps in for the Abbey event, but the absence is noticeable. Remembrance season is one of the most symbolically important periods in the royal calendar, and having both the king and queen reduced in visibility sends a quiet shock through the nation. Her sudden illness also makes her earlier documentary comment, trying to stop him doing so much, feel more vulnerable. Viewers realize that both senior royals are now medically fragile at the same time. What was once reassurance now feels like a warning. Inside the UK, the mood shifts again. If both pillars at the top are unwell, who carries the crown's weight? The public reaction becomes divided, with some feeling comforted and others deeply alarmed. How Britain reacted: reassurance or red flag? Across the UK, viewers interpret Queen Camilla's words in two very different ways. Many see her as a devoted spouse trying to calm a worried nation, especially given her long history of speaking about cancer, illness, and families under pressure. For these viewers, her line, "He's doing really well," feels loving and steady. But others focus on the second half of her sentence. "The problem is trying to stop him doing so much." This strikes a nerve. It sounds like King Charles is pushing himself far beyond medical limits, and that palace staff may be struggling to control the situation. Because earlier communication around royal health, especially the timelines of Charles's diagnosis and Catherine, Princess of Wales's illness, has been confusing. Many people now question whether the palace is being fully open. Talk shows, analysts, and social media split sharply. Some call this a new era of honesty, while others fear it is a carefully edited reveal hiding something far worse. The tension rises as the country tries to interpret one sentence in a documentary that was never meant to be a health update. And Camilla's remark soon echoes against a long royal history of secrecy surrounding illness. Breaking and echoing a long history of secret royal illnesses. Camilla's unexpected honesty lands heavily because it touches a sensitive pattern in royal history. For decades, serious illnesses within the monarchy were hidden. King George VI's lung cancer was described only as a structural abnormality, and the public learned the truth only when he died in 1952. Later, Princess Margaret's health challenges, including lung surgery and strokes, were openly reported, beginning a slow shift toward transparency. That tradition continued when both King Charles and Princess Catherine confirmed their cancer diagnoses in 2024, breaking the old never-explained barrier, even though key medical details remained private. In that context, Camilla's candid line, "trying to stop him doing so much," feels like it sits exactly between two eras. It breaks the silence without giving full clarity. It exposes strain without revealing the scale. This is why the moment shocked so many. It wasn't just news about the king, it was a rare glimpse into the tension between royal duty, declining health, and the centuries-old instinct to protect the monarchy's image. And behind that tension lies a deeper question: who is really holding power while the king is unwell? Inside power, who is really running things when the king is sick? As King Charles steps back from public life due to treatment, the question of who carries daily royal responsibility becomes unavoidable. Constitutionally, the king still signs major papers and approves state matters, but with reduced appearances and limited stamina, the visible weight shifts to Queen Camilla, Prince William, and Princess Anne. The documentary shows Camilla alone in spaces long associated with the monarch, meeting survivors, hosting receptions, and representing the crown at national events. She becomes the operational face of the monarchy, whether the palace intended it or not. Meanwhile, counselors of state like William and Anne quietly take on additional constitutional functions whenever the king is unavailable, raising questions about how often this mechanism is used behind closed doors. Camilla's candid remark, trying to stop him doing so much, suddenly takes on deeper meaning. It hints at a family and staff trying to restrain a monarch who refuses to appear weakened, even as medical pressures mount. Inside the UK, experts begin asking whether the monarchy is effectively being run by a temporary trio: Camilla, William, and Anne. And this uncertainty feeds a larger fear. What happens if the king's treatment becomes longer or more complicated? Succession anxiety. What if treatment drags on or worsens? Public concern grows beyond Charles' immediate health and into questions about the future. With Princess Catherine recovering from her own cancer battle and out of view for months, Prince William has already been carrying an unusually heavy load. Many describe it as an unofficial, soft regency, a slow, quiet shift of responsibility toward the next generation. But the monarchy's bench is smaller than ever. Prince Harry remains distant from royal operations, and with both the king and Queen Camilla facing health issues, the working core of the family is dangerously thin. Camilla's announcement highlights this fragility. If the king continues pushing himself beyond medical limits, and if the queen experiences further health setbacks, Britain may be relying on just a handful of royals to keep the institution stable. This vulnerability feeds real anxiety. People wonder what happens if treatment intensifies, or if Charles needs a prolonged period away from duties. Analysts warn that the system could become overstrained, placing William and Anne under relentless pressure at a time when the family is already emotionally stretched. As one commentator puts it, the crown is steady, but it is standing on fewer shoulders than ever before. Yet out of this instability, Camilla may be shaping a new direction for her role. From crisis to agenda, how Camilla may turn this into a health crusade. As concern over King Charles' health deepens, the documentary highlights another side of Queen Camilla, her long-standing commitment to public welfare. She has spent years quietly meeting domestic abuse survivors, supporting charities like Safe Lives, Refuge, and cancer support groups across the UK. These scenes in the film show her not just as a partner in crisis, but as an advocate shaping a growing public agenda. Her brief but revealing comment about the king, trying to stop him doing so much, may mark the beginning of a shift in her role. For the first time, Camilla appears ready to push forward a broader campaign around health awareness, early diagnosis, and support for families facing long-term illness. International observers note how her vulnerability and openness have already encouraged other monarchies to reconsider how openly they discuss health. Inside Britain, people begin to wonder if Camilla's increasing visibility is laying the groundwork for a stronger public health focus within the monarchy, something that aligns with the king's own legacy of advocacy. Her announcement may not just reveal a problem, it may signal the start of a new mission. Yet despite her visibility, the country is left with unresolved questions, ones only time can answer. Unanswered questions the UK is now watching for. Even after the documentary, the UK is left with growing uncertainty surrounding the monarchy's immediate future. Viewers now wait to see whether future updates on King Charles's condition will finally move beyond repeated phrases like progressing well and responding positively. People want clarity on whether his treatment is stabilizing, becoming more aggressive, or quietly shifting into a long-term management plan that could reshape how the crown operates for years. Concerns extend to Queen Camilla as well. Her recent chest infection raised fresh questions about whether she can continue her intense schedule. As she recovers, many wonder if this period of high visibility was a temporary peak or the beginning of a more cautious phase driven by her own health limits. Inside senior institutions such as the Cenotaph, Clarence House, and key government offices, officials quietly draft multiple scenarios: a fully recovered king returning to normal duties, a slow and partial recovery requiring shared responsibilities, or a gradual and delicate shift toward Prince William taking on more of the crown's daily weight. Yet the palace has said nothing to confirm or deny any of these possibilities. Above everything, one line from Camilla lingers over the nation. The problem is trying to stop him doing so much. People ask whether this was a slip into honesty, a hint of deeper tension, or evidence that the palace is managing more strain than it can comfortably show. The sentence now echoes across newsrooms, living rooms, and political circles. For now, Britain waits, watching closely, listening between the lines, and sensing that the full truth about the king's condition and the crown's stability has not yet fully surfaced. As the country waits for clarity, Queen Camilla's unexpected announcement continues to echo across the UK. Her words opened a door the palace has long kept closed, raising new questions about the king's health, the crown's stability, and what comes next. The shock may fade, but the consequences won't. Subscribe now for more royal revelations, hidden palace dynamics, and unfolding updates the UK can't stop talking about. Stay informed. Don't miss what comes next.